Hello there, everyone, and welcome in. I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and this is the Mad Science Lab podcast. I swear I've done a couple of shows today and I've been trying to get a pick from the Scott Fishbowl live on the show. But after the first round that was lightning quick, my draft has ground to a total halt and it's not really working out for me. So I guess we'll just talk studs and duds. And here to help me do that is Justin Henry. Justin, thank you for joining me, man. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you having me on. I'm also in the Scott Fish Bowl, so maybe I'll let you help me make my next pick. We're in round 5, so ours is going real quick.
3. We're at the 307. I know you were kind of on a tight schedule, so I won't chat your ear off about it, but I had the 101, so my options were limited, obviously, so I couldn't have done much about it, but my league mates allowed something egregious. They got too sucked into the quarterback role. They took Mark Andrews and CMC, allowing Cody Carpentier. You're familiar with Cody?
I'm not sure if I am or not.
One of the sharper players is at Roster Watch now, was at Player Profiler, really good guy, knows his shit. Anyways, he was at the 112 and the 201. We have allowed him to stack Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson because why the hell not?
You know, I've had a chance to take a look at the settings. It's actually not as bad as you may think. A lot of the running backs are going a little bit higher. A lot of have a higher value. Like I think these Scott Fishbowl rules. I was kind of looking at the points and how they're accumulated. It's not as sexy as it looks on paper.
No, it's not as sexy as the normal look. Like I have my spreadsheet with all the point per first down, all the crap, the nuances of SFB, but I still, even in this settings, I think I had Justin Jefferson ranked as my 5 or 6. And Jamar Chase went where he was supposed to go, but he's a 1-2 turn pick. But the fact that we let Justin slip to him, so he's gonna have no freaking quarterback. I mean, he ended up with Dak, but it's probably a nice looking start. But yeah, in your typical 1 QB starter or redraft league, it would look real nice.
Yeah, it would look ridiculous.
So. All right. Well, do you want to take a second here to tell everyone where they can find you and your work?
Yeah, my name is Justin Henry online, all social media platforms. Justin Henry with a 3 instead of an E, as you can see below. And I have a daily show called The Justin Henry Show where I talk fantasy football values. We talk fades, breakouts, sleepers. I do mock drafts, best ball, you name it. And then throughout the season, give weekly guidance and advice for pickups, trades you can make, and then also start and sit options. So make sure you follow the page. It's on YouTube.
Shit, you've got that down to a science. I'm happy most times I can get my own name right in the name of my show. So
when you talk live every day, you tend to just get in the flow of things, man. So I got to know what I'm promoting, right?
I'm the worst. That I get even worse. I've had days where I've done, because it's only 20 minutes. I've recorded 16 of these in one day. And by the time I get to the end, I'm lucky if I know my own name. So
There you go.
All right. Well, let's get into your first stud. We have Tampa Bay wide receiver Mike Evans, was wide receiver 17 last year. 10 rushing yards, because that matters. 1,124 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, 219.4 full PPR points, 14.62 per game. ADP on Fantasy Pros is 71 overall as of Friday. He has moved down 3 slots to 74. Wide receiver 32. Why is he a stud for you?
When I look at wide receiver 32, that's talking in 10-team leagues, it's a wide receiver 4, and in 12-team leagues, that's a back-end wide receiver 3. And Mike Evans, his entire career, has been nothing more than a wide receiver 1 or mid-tier wide receiver 2. He doesn't slip past wide receiver 17. He's never finished lower than that his entire career. So why are we going to assess that and think that he's going to drop 20 spots lower almost this season? When I look at Mike Evans, he's a consistency model, 1,000 yards every year, no matter if it comes with catches, it comes with big plays, chunk yardage. Doesn't matter who the quarterback is, whether it's Tom Brady, Blaine Gabbert, Josh Freeman, Jameis Winston. It does not matter when it comes to Mike Evans. He's a big play guy. He can create things after the catch, and he's also in the red zone. So when you talk about guys in that wide receiver 4 tier, you're looking at very big question marks. A guy like Deontay Johnson, who didn't score a touchdown last year, is now in the same breath as Mike Evans, who we've considered a superstar, and he's 30 years old, still in his prime. Come on, man. We got to do better than this. Mike Evans should be way higher up the board. And if you're drafting or watching this right now and Mike Evans happens to fall that low, grab him instantly. Instantly.
That was going to be my next question. I typically say wide receiver 15 is where it really falls off from the elite of the elite, but he is on here. What did I say? Wide receiver 32. Looking, I know it's tough to see this entire board, but looking up here all the way to Keenan Allen at 18, how far do you think you would move him up from 32?
To 18. I put him over every single one of those guys. So
would you go even higher above Debo, Cooper, Keenan Allen?
That's about the range where I kind of have Debo. Debo's about there. Amari Cooper, I got a lot higher than most, but like I'd put him over Chris Olave. I put him over DK Metcalf. That's about, but I got to switch up my own rankings here, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I feel like it's kind of egregious where we have Mike Evans right now, and he's not a top 20 receiver when he's proven that he's been a top 20 receiver his entire career. Seems a little outrageous to me.
Yeah, so he looks like he's about somewhere between 15 and 20 for you, as opposed to 32, wide receiver 32 on Fantasy Pros.
That's insane.
He is screaming by for you.
The crazy part is when you look at a guy like Drake London, you're like, if he could have a Mike Evans season, then you'd be very happy to get him at wherever spot he's at, 22 or 23 or wherever Drake London's at. If Christian Watson had a Mike Evans type year, you're like, yes, I hit on my wide receiver 22. I hit. That was perfect. But we got Mike Evans at 32. Like, it's crazy to me.
So you're basically, your feeling is the old Family Guy argument, right? It's, do you want the boat or do you want what's in the box? It could even be a boat. Do you want Mike Evans or do you want what's in the box? He could even be Mike Evans. Basically, that's what we're coming up with. Hey, so These other guys, their best case scenario is Mike Evans. So why not just take Mike Evans is what you're saying.
100%, man. I think it's easy to do in fantasy. We see the guys who look exciting and they could be the next guy. And we're all trying to strike gold on like, I got this player right. When sometimes the player that we want is right in front of us, or in this case, right below us.
This time of year, too, there's not many casuals. It's a lot of the diehards who are into Dynasty, and I really find this time of year, the youth is way overvalued.
Super overvalued.
I was, even like I said, in Dynasty startups, this time of year, it's never been easier to draft a win now team. Like, I have drafts I come out of, like, I had the 101, I came out with, like, it was Mahomes. Then I drafted Kelsey, CMC, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook. I forget who the receivers were. They were, but it was all older guys. Cooper Kupp, like it was all older guys. But it was a team where I'm looking, I'm going, this is like a Pro Bowl team. It's like got wide receiver 2 last year, wide receiver 1, RB1, RB3, RB5. It's ridiculous. So.
Well, I'll say this: in the era that everybody is a fantasy football analyst, whether they win games or not, everybody is a stat analyst because they can go and regurgitate stats that they find online, and everybody is an avid dynasty player because their team is 3 to 5 years away from winning with all these rookies that they're able to draft. Sometimes they forget about the goal. The goal is to win. The goal is to win. It's not to have, I picked 3 guys right out of the 10 that I drafted. It's to win your leagues.
I feel like some people like being in the state of a rebuild better than they like they get to the compete part and they like, what do you do? I had that in that exact draft where I got out and my first 12 picks were like legit top 10 guys, but they were older. Like I got Joe Mixon in like round 12. I get it. It's dynasty, but who cares? And then some guy was chirping me. I didn't even know who it was, just some random. And I told him, I said, that's great. Your team is young and sexy. I'll have won 3 championships before you're ready to contend. So I don't care.
Yeah, especially in Dynasty when everybody gets picks every single year. So guess what? In 3 years, you're going to have 12 rookies that hit your team.
But that's the other thing that he said that, well, in 3 years, my team will blah, blah, blah. You know, they'll be way better. Dude, it's a startup with randoms. Chances are in 3 years, this league won't exist. The average life of a dynasty league is like 1-2 years. Most of them don't make it to 3 years. So give me and even if I happen to, say it last and I happen to, my team fails and I don't win at the deadline, if this team sucks, I can trade most of these guys for assets anyways and get younger. So
Yeah, and nobody's going to pay those
Mindset, man.
prices. See, you got those prices like, oh, Christian Watson, he's worth 2, 3 first-round picks because he's young, and it's like
Yeah.
nobody's going to pay that. Nobody
Yeah.
that's in a rebuild wants
No.
to pay that. No win now
No.
team wants to pay that. So you're stuck.
Not a chance. Not a chance. All right. Moving on to your next stud, we have Sam Fran, wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 15 last year, 23 rushing yards, 1,015 receiving, 8 touchdowns, 209.5 full PPR points, 12.34 per game. That's fun to say. 66 overall ADP on Fantasy Pros as of Friday. He is moving down to 73, wide receiver 31. And before you make your argument here, I'm going to make my quick argument because it's an easy one. Let me just switch the screen over. Let me show you all you're going to need to know before you even hear what Justin has to say. Sorry, I'm taking so long. Okay, do you see this right here? This is Brandon Ayuk, wide receiver 31, highest scoring receiver on the 49ers last year. You know who finished behind him? Deebo Samuel, wide receiver 16. Why are they 16 receivers apart? I get it. Deebo had one excellent season. Why is Ayuk so far down? Anyways, take it from here, Justin.
You see the Niners stuff in the back, so I'm a big Debo guy too. But Brandon Ayuk, I mean, he's the guy. It's if you haven't noticed by now, even with Debo banged up, and you could say that injuries were a part of that. Even if you think that Debo is the guy, and you think that he's going to revert back to what he was, wide receiver 2 or 3, it was the other year, I can't remember. How do we have Brandon Ayuk down here? A guy that has proven that he's a top 15 wide receiver in the league. Proven in fantasy that he's a top 15 wide receiver. Route runner, one of the best route runners in the league on one of the most prolific offenses in the league. And here he is stuck in the wide receiver 3 to 4 range. It's absolutely asinine to me. And a guy like Mike Williams, Mike Williams there's a big hype train for him last year, is slotted 6 spots above Brandon Ayuk for what reason? Nobody can tell me.
That's what I don't understand.
You can't tell me the reason why. And, for all intents and purposes, like, okay, say maybe you're fading Ayuk, you don't think he'll have the year that he did last year. You're willing to drop him 15 spots lower at the wide receiver position. You can't make this stuff up, man. To me, Brandon Ayuk is such a value, and I hope that I'm in a draft where somebody has this exact same Fantasy Pros draft chart, because then I'm gonna be sniping Ayuk with Mike Evans as my wide receiver 3 and 4s, and that'd be crazy.
The one I've been targeting with him, it's been Ayuk and Lockett for me. But yeah, Ayuk, I've never been an Ayuk guy, but this year I am, based just on the ADP. 73 overall. Excuse me, wide receiver 31. Good God, I don't know.
I think people get burned. People get burned. It was 2 years ago when Brandon Ayuk was everybody's hype machine. Take him in the 4th round, the 5th round. They drafted him in the 1st round for a reason, and he disappointed that season. And then last year, he was getting drafted around the same range, wide receiver 34-ish, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then guess what happened? He outplayed it. Now it's time to adjust. And I think fantasy community gets scarred by certain players, and they're like, I'll never draft that player again. And it tanks their value and finds value for guys like us.
The overcorrection is real. I said this when people were talking about the possibility of Bijan going to KC. I said I thought that would be great because I thought that would hurt his ADP, because so many people would dub him, as stupid as it would be. So many people would say, oh, well, he's just the next CEH. I want no part of him. And then you could get a discount. I get it. That sounds absolutely asinine to anyone who's rational. But how many people do this? The casual fan is like, oh, I'm never drafting. As we see a Patriot on the screen, they'll never draft a Patriots receiver after N'Keal Harry. We see it all the time. It's just the opposite with the Steelers. Everyone wants in on the Steelers receivers because they just produce and they go nonstop. So, yep, it's people get scarred and they overcorrect it.
Those age old. Now I lost the term. I had it in my head for a second. Age old adages. Yeah, adages. Yeah. It's like people get stuck in their ways, man. And like you said, it's overcorrection a lot of times. People play fantasy with their gut and their feelings. And I think that's the wrong way to play fantasy. You got to play with facts and stats. And if you can't get your emotions out of it, I'll never draft this player. He lost me my league last year. If you can't get that out your system, it's going to be tough to win a championship.
I trade it like a combination of poker and the stock market. There's no emotion whatsoever. 100%. We'll get into one of those adages here. You're going to hear the Bill Belichick, New England Patriots running back. That always happens. But we've got his first dud, Patriots RB, 7 last year. Ramondre Stevenson, 1,040 rushing yards, 421 through the air, 6 touchdowns, 241.6 full PPR points for 14.65 per game. Current ADP on Fantasy Pros is 26 overall. Let me switch this bad boy over. I feel like it's gone up.
Oh, yeah.
It has, but only by one slot, 25. He is currently RB10. That's a tad pricey for me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. When it comes to running backs, man, especially top 4 or 5 round draft capital, I don't like spending top 4 or 5 round draft capital on question marks.
Yeah.
And as much as everybody wants to say that Ramondre's locked into this workload, Bill Belichick loves him, has talked him up all offseason, the next Corey Dillon or Lawrence Maroney or LeGarrette Blount, you can say whatever you want for some of them great Patriot backs. But it was a tale of two halves last year for Ramondre Stevenson. I think it's very easy to forget that. First half of the year, Damian Harris was out, missed some games. We saw big games out of Ramondre Stevenson in a full workload. And as the season progressed, Ramondre couldn't take a lot of the wear and tear that's required from a 3-down back. So the team was using Pierre Strong, Kevin Harris, guys that are there now, younger picks. They were rookies last year. Now they're in their second year. They should be better. Ty Montgomery was out for the year to start the season. He's in line to be the pass catcher, whether you believe in him or not. Whether you believe in him or not, he's going to be a part of the offense. That's 4 backs in a rotation of the Bill Belichick New England carousel. But I believe it. I believe it this year, and I think we're playing a little bit too much into the fact that he finished as the RB7 last year, and that it's got to transfer over. It's going to be the same thing. Ramondre Stevenson had 1 touchdown in the second half of last year. That scares me a lot for somebody who's supposed to be this top 10 back. I don't want my running back scoring 6 touchdowns in a season. I'm out on Ramondre Stevenson at ADP.
Yeah. I get it. I think he was, 3rd in targets, I think, but Senior Bowl, Combine, every time the Patriots were involved, what did they do? They wanted to scout the pass-catching running backs. What do you see? Ty Montgomery hype, Pierre Strong hype. They've done everything they can to tell you that they don't think Ramondre Stevenson is he's not a 80% touch workhorse. Yeah. He's not going to get the workload he got last year. And if nothing else, even if he was good, he's not going to return it on the ADP. He's being absolutely drafted at his ceiling, if not miles over it. Like you see him here. I brought that up on the screen. Yep. Yes, I did. The range he is, even with running backs, you've got like Jacobs, Henry, Pollard, Stevenson, Najee, Brees, and Walker. And I'd take all of them over him. The only one who would concern me is Brees, and it's just injury related. I'd even go down further, like ETN, Gibbs, Mixon. Like I know everyone's out on Mixon. Yeah, exactly. But everyone's out on Aaron Jones. Even Dalvin Cook, if he gets a decent spot. Like Aaron Jones, I get it. He's old. Who cares? They're going to need him in that offense. Joe Mixon, they're going to get to training camp the preseason when he hasn't been cut for the charges and they've got nobody else. And people are going to look around and go, shit, there's no other running backs on this team. Why is Joe Mixon going in the 8th round? I don't want Ramondre. Give me Joe Mixon, Aaron Jones. What did I say here? 2 rounds later over Stevenson. I
have Ramondre Stevenson. You know, the industry, there's some guys that have Ramondre Stevenson top 5. I've seen top 7.
Seen 3.
I've seen 3. Yeah, you've seen some high values. I have Ramondre Stevenson as my RB17 right now.
That I don't know if I have him that low, but I can't. Well, looking at this, I have him in the same range as Pierce. So that's 19. That's probably fitting. It would obviously depend here on Dalvin Cook and where he goes. So yeah, 17, 18, 19 in that range. That is completely fair, and I don't disagree. I'm glad you said that because I am completely out on him too at cost. Your last stud is another guy that I think has got way too steamed up, and I said it earlier in my SFB draft because he crept into the 1st round, and I get it. Tight end premium, there's funky tight end stats. For me, what I've been saying is everyone keeps saying, where's the tight end dead zone? I'll tell you where the tight end dead zone is. Tight end 2. There's Travis Kelce, and then there's 6 tight ends who are all the same value. You know who I have? I don't have Andrews. I don't have Hawkinson. I don't have Pitts. They're the 3 most expensive. I have Kittle, Goddard, Waller because they're the cheapest of the 3 and are going to have similar production.
I swear, it sounds like I sent in some stuff, and I'm like, you know what? This is what I've been thinking about the tight end position, and we mirrored each other, Aaron. Yeah. I love it because after Kittle, I don't want a tight end. After Kelce, I don't want a tight end. If I could wait till the end of the draft and get a Greg Dulcich, or Pat Freiermuth, give me those guys. Even. I'm not a big Komet guy, but you could find a tight end outside of Kelce. You don't have to go pay the premium for Mark Andrews. I love George Kittle. You don't have to pay the premium for George Kittle, Dallas Goedert, all these guys, and especially Mark Andrews. it's easy to forget with Mark Andrews what he really is. Mark Andrews is really an 800-yard receiver or 800-yard tight end. He had one season where he hit 1,300 yards, and that back end of that season, the 5 games that Tyler Huntley played catapulted him to number 1 tight end. It's so easy to forget that this team drafted Rashad Bateman in the first round, drafted Zay Flowers in the first round, spent $18 million on Odell Beckham, drafted J.K. Dobbins in the second round. They've invested in this offense pieces around outside of Mark Andrews. To say he's the top 2 tight end, it has a chance to be number 1 tight end. This team doesn't want to have him featured. They've absolutely went the other direction. They paid Lamar Jackson, asked him to open up this offense. I think you're going to be massively disappointed if you draft Mark Andrews at the tight end 2. He's more around tight end 5 to me, maybe even 6.
But I didn't bring up the wrong screen. This is my SFB draft currently, and I did this for a reason. Kelsey, that's fine. Nate List took Kelsey at 104. Got no problem in this format. Once he's gone, I'm not taking another tight end till 5 or 6. Andrews at 108, no thanks. Hawkinson at 302, I am completely out. No thing. Like, why would I pay 302 for Hawkinson? He has 2 running backs and a super flex. What quarterbacks are on the board still? I'll have to check over. Let me click over.
He drafted a tight end over.
He could have had, I get it, Cousins, Geno. I would have taken Geno. My pick there is Geno over Hawkinson.
I would have taken any of those quarterbacks.
Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Higgins, Devonta Smith. No way. There's no way it's TJ Hawkinson there. No.
TJ Hawkinson over Devontae Adams. I don't care what the format is. That's wild to me.
Yep. TJ Hawkinson. No wide receivers. Started running back at the 111. And passed up 9 people on the board to go down to I don't know where TJ was. I think he was 40 something, mid 40. So overdrafted him by about 20 because, oh no, I have to have a tight end. No, thank you. I'm going to punt tight end, and whoever's available, if Waller, Kittle, or Goddard is available when it gets to me at the 5-6 turn, I'll take them at 601. If not, I'm going to be waiting for, like you said, Dulcich, whoever the hell it is, much later in 9, 10, wherever. I'm not paying it.
About TJ Hawkinson, since you're getting a bonus bust from me right here, bonus dud on this episode. TJ Hawkinson. We're talking about a guy that had 2 games over 15 fantasy points last year in PPR leagues, and they were both 40-point games. Outside of those, are we really saying that TJ Hawkinson's this consistent threat? And yes, he played 8 games as a Minnesota Viking. So this isn't like he had a ton of tremendous success being the number 2 option on the Vikings. This is a player who is massively inconsistent and had 2 standout games that propelled him into the top 2. I'm way out on TJ Hawkinson.
So he's a tight end who is ranked high, living off of 2 40-point games. So what you're saying in a roundabout way is TJ Hawkinson is expensive Taysom Hill. That's what you just said. That's what you just said, right?
I love it. Expensive Taysom Hill. I'll take it.
Because that's all Taysom Hill was. What, tight end 4 last year, tight end 5 off of 1 42-point game. That's all he was. Because that's what you do.
Wild.
If I go in tomorrow and I put up 40 points, I will be tight end 2 next year.
You need to quote that. You'll go viral if you put that on Twitter. TJ Hawkinson is expensive Taysom Hill. Put that shit on Twitter.
No, I'm going to tag you and you'll go viral. That was your quote. You said it, not me.
You said expensive Taysom Hill, so you got to post
all right, okay. I'm going to tag this and we're going to see how much hatred I get tonight.
Oh, you're going to get a lot.
Oh, good God. All right, well, I know you got some stuff to do here. You got to get on to a next show, so I'll wrap it up. Thank you for joining me. You want to take one more chance here to tell everyone where they can find you and your work?
Oh, yeah. Find me on TikTok. I'll be live there. YouTube, I'm live there. And then on Twitter, dropping takes and picks. So I'm open to whatever questions you have. If you need help with your team, fun dude. So let's get it in. Fantasy's almost here, baby.
All right. Well, this has been Studs and Duds with Justin Henry. Once again, I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist. This has been the Mad Science Lab podcast. Thanks again to Justin for joining me. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great night.